Hi there, I'm John Appleby. I'm the head chef at the Waterside Brasserie here at Middlesbrough College, and this is our third instalment of our sort of healthy eating at home series that we're doing. Today we're going to sort of look at like a chicken stew, so very basic food, very warming, and also very cost effective. We have got a whole chicken today. We haven't sort of just got the two breasts. We've got the whole chicken and how we break down the chicken and utilise not just in this meal but looking further afield, using the legs for different things, and sort of what we can keep and what we can't keep. With that, we've got some nice sliced chorizo that you'd buy in the shop, red onion, some new baby potatoes that's going to add a little bit of like filling and a little bit more depth to the dish. Courgette, people don't use courgettes too much, as this is going to go in the nice broth. And then we've got some kale, very versatile, very cheap, but full of flavour and really good, really healthy for you. We've also got some sweet corn. Tinned sweet corn's absolutely fine, and we've also got some chicken stock that we made earlier, and that's going to sort of give the body of the broth. I will touch on chicken stock when we do break down the whole chicken, and the parts we can use and we don't want to use. So yeah, first thing, we're going to go through the chicken and how to break it down. So cost wise, if you're buying 4 chicken supremes at the shop, you're probably paying close to £10. This chicken will probably cost you around the region of £6, £8. 2 breasts, 2 legs, wings, and then you got the carcass as well that you can make soups, stocks, broths out of. Generally people don't buy a whole bird because you know it's the work that goes into it, but I'm going to show you how simple it is. So when we break down a chicken, we'll start off by taking the legs off. So we're just going to make 2 cuts either side of the carcass. And when we break a chicken down, we don't have to cut through bone. We don't at all. We just go through cartilage. So we start off with the 2 cuts done, and we put our finger at the back of the knuckle joint and just pop the bone out there, and your knife will run straight through. So there's your first leg. Very easy. Again, from there, in we go. Just round that bone there. Again, not going into the bone, and we have our 2 legs. From there we take our 2 wings off. Now you might want to go right up to the here, or you might want to sort of just take the winglet off. We're going to take the winglet off. Reason being, we're going to what we call French trim the chicken. So 2 legs, 2 wings. Then from here we just follow this line on the breastplate down, cutting down and using that bone as a guide. Push down, and then we are out the other side, and just using our knife, nice straight slices, and that will take the breast off. So as you can see, these are quite big compared to something you get in the supermarket. These will be around 250 grams, which is quite large. Also, you are getting the skin. You can't really get skin on chicken supremes in the supermarket at the moment. It's always got the skin off, it's always got the knuckle off. So the carcass is left. We can start and take off the oysters in the back. With a roast chicken, they are really nice. We'll just take these off, and that sort of leaves us with this carcass that we can roast off and put in for a stock. From here, if you ever eat in a restaurant, we tend to find that most chicken is French trimmed. So how we French trim is we just take this what we call the drummer, and we just score round, take hold of the meat and just run the knife along that bone there. taking any excess meat off that we have, and just taking the knuckle at the end. So that leaves us now with once we've just trimmed this skin up, a nice chicken supreme that's been French trimmed, skin on, and that sort of would be used in restaurants. And that's your 2 chicken breasts done, fully prepared. Now when we look at the wing tips, the wing tip is really good. There's a lot of gelatine in there, so it's really good for stocks and sauces. Again, the winglet, fantastic for chicken wings. Obviously you're not only going to get 2 off one bird, but if you were to save them, you know, you could get a good sauce out of them. When we look at the 2 legs, thigh in the top, that runs onto the drummer or the drumstick. So we're just going to take off the foot. That's off, and then we're just looking for that bone there. Once we find out where the bone is, we can just use our knife to cut down. Again, not cutting through the bone, just through the cartilage. Again, just feeling for that joint, cutting straight through, no real pressure at all. And there is your 2 drummers. Now when you come to the chicken thigh, if you just run your knife along the back of the bone, you can take the bone out pretty simple, making sure you're not taking too much cartilage, and that skin can come off as well. Now this is ideal, that meat there is ideal for roasting, pot roasting, curries, braising, anything like that. Really good meat. And again, the supermarkets have started to put the price up on boneless legs. You can get a bone-in leg relatively cheap, but they are putting quite a cost on it if they're taking the bone out, and that's just because it's saving the customer labour trying to get the bone out. But as you can see, it's not too much work going into it. Now them bones can be used for the stocks that we made. So this is just a chicken stock that I made earlier, and that's just a process of roasting all the bones off, covering with water, adding some aromats like thyme, bay leaf, and then also a little bit of like roast fruit veg, so things like onions, celery, carrots will give the stock a lot of flavour. We just want to put the pan on a relatively low heat to start with. I'm going to use for this, I'm going to sort of put the legs to the side and the wings to the side. I'm going to be using predominantly the breast and leg meat and the 2 oysters. When you are cooking at home as well, please make sure that you are keeping your 2 boards separate. So we have a red board, raw meat, and the green board for raw fruit, salads, veg. As long as you've got 2 different boards that you are keeping your stuff separate on, that's the main thing. We don't want to make anyone ill. So we're going to start off by using a pomace oil. So this is an olive pomace oil. So it's not like a veg oil, it is quite healthy. I'm just going to start off by taking our red onion, taking the end off, splitting it down the middle. Then from there we're just going to peel the outside layer off. Now a lot of people put the skins and stuff in the stock. I wouldn't put your skin in the stock. Maybe the outside layer of the onion will go in the stock. And when we are chopping and dicing, remember, if we leave the back root on, 2 things will happen. It'll hold the onion together so it doesn't start slipping about. And some say that it can stop you crying when you're chopping an onion. I just find not getting too emotionally attached to an onion will stop you crying at the onion. So nice slices, and then we're going to go across into it, making sure we are working the knife. If you put too much pressure when you were cutting, you have more risk of cutting yourself. Make sure you're giving good strokes. And we'll go straight in with the onion. Onion being a good base root veg, I think it's quite important that you get that in straight away. And with that, just dice up your chicken thigh. The chicken thigh will cook slightly, take a little bit more time to cook than a chicken breast will. When we look at the while it's cooking, while we look at the this sort of chicken breast, this would be called the chicken supreme, something that has the knuckle on, also the chicken fillet that lies underneath. Often when you buy chicken breast at the shop, you won't get that fillet. Again, we'll just dice this up. And this pot that I'm making here is going to feed probably around 3 to 4 people. So this dish should cost no more than maybe like £10–12, I think it'll be. And again, just dice this up, and the chicken goes in. I think it's quite important when, especially with the prices of food going up, that we are able to, you know, make a meal to feed a family. You know, we should be around, you know, the family of 4 should be able to get a decent meal for £15 or less. And hopefully when you see how easy cooking is, things like these sort of stews, these sort of like one pot dishes, see how easy they are, see how no real stress really making them. Just mix that round. So as always, you can put garlic in if you want. At home I never tend to put too much garlic in. My mother hates garlic and she wouldn't like me putting it in, so I don't. So the other things, I'm looking at the different veg I've got now. So I've got the courgettes, sweet corn, got my new potatoes, and I'm sort of looking now and thinking what's going to be the thing that's going to take the longest to break down. So the kale's not going to take too long, the courgette isn't going to take too long, the corn, even though it's soft we can eat it, the husk will take a little bit of time to break down, and we could put that in sort of early doors if we wanted to. And the potatoes going to take the longest. And the potatoes, obviously, when you break them, when they're breaking down, does add body to the dish. We have got a little bit of corn flour that we could thicken it up with, but we're going to try and use the potatoes to break it down. I have also got this chorizo that I'm going to dice up and put it in. When we look at a soup, any soup that's thickened with potato would be categorised as a chowder. So seafood chowder, corn chowder, these are all things that use potato as a thickener. Tends to be a little bit more healthy than just putting flour in. And then I'm going to put a little bit of thyme in there as well. A few sprigs of thyme. You can pick this out afterwards if you want. And then we're just going to chop these potatoes up into quarters. So this is something typically I would have cooked when I was a child, when I was a kid. I cooked at home quite a lot. Something like this, you know, I enjoyed cooking. So very, very simple. Breaking down. Now you can, if you want, start, you know, adding butters and other flavourings and fats. I'm just trying to keep it simple. You can start adding whatever you want really to something like this. I think the main part of this dish is just looking at, you know, how do you break a chicken down? What parts can we keep? What parts do we use? So from here now, I'm just going to add some of that chicken stock. And now I'm just going to give it a decent amount of heat. Once that stock's in, we can put the sweet corn in. And the two things left, we've got this courgette. So courgettes can be just added to this, or you can be roasted. It's completely up to yourself. I'd probably look at keeping this quite thick. I wouldn't cut your courgettes too thin. And again, as it is quite fibrous, it will add body, it will add depth to it. And courgettes, being a green veg, very, very healthy. Now you can add absolutely any veg you want to this, and you'll still end up with a really, really good, flavoursome stew. When we're looking at kale as well, very, very simple. Just pull off the leaves. I know when you buy it in supermarkets you can get it shredded. They tend to shred it across ways, so it sort of gets that core in there, and it can be quite tough when you eat it. Kale is very, very good, very versatile. I know in restaurants we've used it to crisp up, we've deep fried it. As long as you've got a good quality oil, it's really good for that. The only downside of kale as a chef working in a restaurant would be it does cool down really quick. So once it goes on the plate, I've got around 30 seconds before the air sort of gets to it and cools it down, and sort of that's a big problem for us, unless it's sort of underneath a piece of meat, propping something up. Yeah, it can get cold really quick. So we're going to let this boil now for around about 20 minutes, should be okay. We're just going to get it to the boil, give it a 20-minute simmer, and once it's about 5 minutes from the end, we're just going to add the kale into it, and then start to slowly finish the dish. Broth's been cooking now for around 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes on a slow simmer. So with the kale, we're just going to put in before we thicken it. Just going to bunch it together in what we call chiffonade. So a very thin, nice cut. So again, just bunching up. You can do this with anything: spinach, kale, herbs. Just adding a bit more colour to the dish. So we'll just gently put that in on the top, and then we give it a little mix round. I mean, at the moment it's got quite a lot of body to it, the stew already, so I'm not too concerned about thickening it, but we will thicken it for the purposes of the demonstration. So there's many ways that you can thicken a sauce or a stew or anything like that. What we call a beurre manier would be butter and flour. Again, we don't want to be adding butter really if we're trying to keep it healthier, and flour, we're trying to keep it gluten-free. So what we will do is add a little bit of corn flour, or some recipes cornstarch, depending on what region you're in. So the corn flour, what we've got to do to start with it is make a slurry, and that's from cold water and the corn flour, and we're just going to pour a little bit of water in there now. We don't need too much really, we just want to give a little bit of body to it. Then from there we're just going to slowly whisk in, and that'll add a little bit of thickness to it. Now from here, what we want to do is something called, when you ever hear anyone saying cooking out anything, so the flour needs to cook out, it's basically saying that we look at corn flour, we look at flour, it's a raw product. So we need to add heat, either through roasting it first. A few recipes will get you to roast the flour first before you add it to your gravy, or add it to your sauce, or we put it in something like this stew or broth, and we just let it cook for a little while. The good indicator that we know that everything's cooked out is just by tasting it. And if it's got that little bit of floury, that little bit of rawness to it, we know it isn't cooked out yet. So we just give it a little bit more time, mixing it round. And again, I don't want this like mega thick. I just want it nice and a little bit of depth to it. We're still sort of in the summer months, or you know, we're not like in sort of winter. So even though this is like a stew or broth, it's quite a light version, quite a light one. So we're just going to turn this down a little bit to a simmer. With anything like this, I mean, it's a good idea maybe just to have a pan on the table, or you know, access where people just go and get whatever they want in the kitchen, or you can plate it up for everyone. Completely up to you. So just when you're dishing up, obviously make sure that you've got a nice amount of vegetables in here. Nice amount of chicken. And it's got full of green, full of colour. And then just add a little bit more of the broth to it. Oh. And again, you don't have to put too much on the plate. Obviously you can come back if you want. But a very simple, nice hearty dish full of you know, healthy things. You can add whatever you want to it, again with a green veg, but trying to utilise the chicken, all parts of the chicken, making the stock, and also using the breast and the leg. So that finishes our dish for today, which is the chicken and chorizo broth with garden vegetables. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.